Hello, my name is Clara, and I'm 28 years old. I've been married to my husband, Ethan, for 3 years. When we got married, I thought I was stepping into a life full of happiness and new beginnings. Little did I know, I was marrying not just Ethan but his entire family, a family that constantly made me feel like I didn't belong. Ethan's family, especially his mother, Diane, and his sister, Vanessa, are obsessed with appearances. They throw lavish parties, wear expensive clothes, and act like they're above everyone else. But what most people don't know is that behind their luxurious lifestyle is a lot of smoke and mirrors. It all came crashing down for me one evening at a family dinner. Ethan and I had been invited to Diane's house, as usual, for one of her grand events. The table was set with fine china, and the dining room sparkled with crystal chandeliers. Vanessa was there, as always, dressed in designer clothes and throwing side-eye glances at me. As we ate, the conversation turned to money and success, a favorite topic for this family. Diane and Vanessa talked about their recent shopping spree and their plans to renovate the house. I stayed quiet, as I usually did, just trying to make it through the evening. Then, out of nowhere, Vanessa turned to me with a smirk. "Clara," she said loudly, making sure everyone heard, "I guess you wouldn't understand. You've never had to deal with expensive things. I mean, it must be hard coming from such a poor background." The room went silent. My face burned with embarrassment as everyone stared at me. Ethan said nothing. Diane didn't even look surprised, as if this kind of insult was perfectly normal. I tried to brush it off with a weak smile, but inside, I was furious. How could Vanessa say that? She had no idea what I had been through or how hard I had worked to support myself before marrying Ethan. And the worst part? Ethan didn't defend me. He just sat there, staring at his plate, pretending he hadn't heard a thing. After dinner, I pulled Diane aside, hoping to get some support. "Diane," I said, keeping my voice steady, "Vanessa humiliated me in front of everyone tonight. It wasn't right." Diane looked at me with her usual cold expression. "Oh, Clara," she said, waving her hand dismissively, "Vanessa didn't mean any harm. But if you can't handle a little teasing, maybe this family isn't the right fit for you. If it's such a problem, I'm sure Ethan can talk to you about other options." It took me a second to understand what she meant. Divorce. She was threatening me with divorce through her son. My heart sank. I had never felt so small and powerless. That night, as I lay in bed, I thought about everything I had endured since marrying Ethan. I had tried so hard to be a good wife and a good daughter-in-law, but nothing I did was ever enough for his family. And now they had crossed a line. They didn't know it yet, but I was done being treated this way. What they also didn't know was that my father, who lived out of town, had been quietly supporting their household expenses for years. Diane and Vanessa thought they were superior, but their entire lifestyle was built on my father's kindness. I decided right then and there I would stop the financial support and take back control of my life. Little did they know their world was about to crumble. The next morning, I woke up with a clear plan in mind. For years, my father had been quietly sending money to help Ethan's family. When Ethan and I got married, my father insisted on contributing to make our lives easier. Little did he know, his generosity was being taken for granted by Diane and Vanessa. They had no idea where the money was coming from, but they certainly didn't hesitate to spend it. I called my father that morning. "Dad," I said, my voice firm, "I need you to stop sending money to Ethan's family." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Clara, are you sure? I've been doing this for you. I thought it would help your marriage." "I appreciate everything you've done," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "But they don't respect me, and they don't deserve your help. It's time for them to take care of themselves." He sighed but didn't argue. "Okay, Clara. If this is what you want, I'll stop the payments immediately. Just know that I'm here for you no matter what." After hanging up, I felt a mix of relief and anxiety. I knew cutting off the money would cause problems, but I was ready to face them. Ethan's family needed to learn the hard way that they couldn't treat me like this anymore. It didn't take long for the cracks to show. Within a week, Diane and Vanessa were acting strangely. The expensive shopping trip stopped, and Diane canceled her weekly salon appointments. Vanessa complained about having to cut back on her spending, and I overheard Diane whispering to Ethan about bills piling up. One evening, Ethan confronted me in the living room. "Clara," he said, his tone sharp, "Mom says she's having trouble paying the mortgage. Do you know anything about this?" I took a deep breath. This was it. "Yes, Ethan, I do," I said calmly. "My father has been paying for your family's expenses all this time." I asked him to stop. Ethan's face turned red. "You did what? Why would you do that? Do you know how much they rely on that money? Do you know how much I've endured from your family?" I shot back. "Vanessa humiliated me in front of everyone. Diane threatened me with divorce. And you've never stood up for me, not once. Why should my father keep supporting a family that treats me like this?" Ethan was silent for a moment. Then his expression hardened. "You had no right to make that decision without consulting me. And your family has no right to treat me like a doormat," I replied, my voice rising. "I'm done being disrespected." The next morning, Diane and Vanessa stormed into the house. They didn't even knock. Diane's face was tight with anger, and Vanessa looked ready to pounce. "What have you done, Clara?" Diane spat. "We're behind on our bills because of you." I stood my ground. "I've done nothing wrong. My father's generosity was a privilege, not a right. If you can't manage your finances, that's your problem." Vanessa sneered. "You think you're better than us, don't you? Let me tell you something. You don't belong in this family. You're nothing but a charity case." I had heard enough. "You're right," I said, my voice steady. "I don't belong in this family. And I won't be staying any longer." I walked upstairs, packed my bags, and left the house that day. Ethan didn't try to stop me. Diane and Vanessa watched in silence as I walked out the door, their faces a mix of shock and disbelief. I moved into a small apartment a few miles away. It wasn't much, but it was mine. For the first time in years, I felt free. I reached out to my father to thank him for his support, and he encouraged me to focus on building a life I could be proud of. As for Ethan's family, they struggled without my father's money. Diane had to sell the house, and Vanessa's shopping habits came to an abrupt end. Ethan called me a few times, begging me to come back, but I refused. I knew my worth, and I wasn't going to settle for a life of disrespect and manipulation. Months later, I received a letter from Vanessa. It was full of apologies, excuses, and pleas for forgiveness. She claimed that they had learned their lesson and wanted to make amends. I didn't respond. Some bridges are better left burned. Now, I'm building a new life for myself, one where I'm surrounded by people who respect and value me. I learned the hard way that sometimes walking away is the best thing you can do. And I'll never let anyone make me feel small again. Life in my new apartment wasn't glamorous, but it was peaceful. For the first time in years, I didn't have to walk on eggshells. I could finally focus on myself and my own happiness. I decided to pick up a new hobby, painting. It was something I had always wanted to try, but never had the time or mental space for while living with Ethan and his family. At first, my paintings were simple, just splashes of color on a blank canvas. But as the weeks went on, I started creating pieces that reflected my journey, my pain, my strength, and my newfound freedom. I even sold a few pieces online, and to my surprise, people loved them. One afternoon, while running errands, I bumped into an old friend from college, Sarah. She was the kind of friend who always lit up a room, and seeing her brought back memories of a simpler time. "Clara," she exclaimed, hugging me tightly. "I haven't seen you in years. How are you?" For a moment, I hesitated. Should I tell her everything? But Sarah had always been someone I could trust. "It's a long story," I said with a small smile. "But I'm doing better now." We ended up grabbing coffee, and I told her everything about Ethan, his family, and how I finally left. Sarah listened intently, nodding as I poured out my heart. When I finished, she reached across the table and took my hand. "You're so much stronger than you realize, Clara," she said. "And if you ever need anything, I'm here for you." Her words gave me a sense of comfort I hadn't felt in a long time. It was nice to know someone was in my corner. A few weeks later, I received an unexpected knock on my door. When I opened it, there stood Ethan, looking disheveled and desperate. "Clara," he began, his voice cracking. "Please, can we talk?" I crossed my arms, keeping my face neutral. "What do you want, Ethan?" "I'm sorry," he said, his eyes pleading. "I should have defended you. I should have stood up to my family. I know I messed up, but I want to make things right. Please come back." His words didn't move me. "Ethan, do you even realize what you're asking? You didn't just fail me. You let your family humiliate and threaten me. And now, when things are falling apart for you, you want me to fix it?"
No.
"I'm done being your safety net." Ethan's face fell. He tried to argue, but I held up my hand. "I've moved on, Ethan. You should too." I closed the door, shutting him out of my life for good. Shortly after that encounter, I received an email from a local gallery. They had seen my paintings online and wanted to feature my work in an upcoming exhibit. I was thrilled and nervous at the same time. This was a chance to share my story in a new way through my art. The exhibit was a success. People connected with my paintings, and I even had a few interviews where I shared my journey of reclaiming my life. It felt empowering to turn my pain into something beautiful and meaningful. Months later, I heard through mutual friends that Diane and Vanessa had hit rock bottom. Without the financial support they had grown so used to, they were forced to sell off their remaining assets. Vanessa moved to a smaller apartment, and Diane's social circle abandoned her when they realized she wasn't as wealthy as she pretended to be. Ethan had moved back in with Diane, still struggling to find work. They had finally been forced to confront the consequences of their actions. As for me, I had found peace. I had built a life that was entirely mine, surrounded by people who valued and respected me. My father was proud of me, and I had grown stronger than I ever thought possible. The lesson was clear. Sometimes you have to walk away from toxic people to truly find yourself. And when you do, the possibilities are endless.